I love Post-its, and when I was doing my dissertation, I just basically had Post-its everywhere, like all over the apartment, and it was like I was drawing on the windows. I mean, I love like color coding and all the things. Then I was taking a course, Amy Porterfield's course about course creation, and she told me a different use for Post-its, and I was like, yes, this is it, right? So I always would plan, usually digitally, sometimes when I would write, and then I would want to switch something. So if I was planning out a unit, for example, I'd say, okay, I'm going to have this as lesson 1, 2, 3. And I'd be like, no, I want to switch lesson 2 and 3. And then I'd have to be like crossing it out, or I'd have to, whatever. And I was like, if it was just on a Post-it, then I could switch it really easily. And then I ended up using this now also for my calendar. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of how I would use this. So first, I'll just kind of show you here. So if I have, let's say I'm going to teach a unit, I get this inspiration from the lovely folks at Mountain Lake PBS who are doing some great work with some resources that you should totally check out for your classroom. They're doing a resource now that I'm helping them develop around Inez Milholland and the feminist movement and the suffragists. So thinking about this, right? Maybe I want to do a timeline of where are we in history and then kind of work that into the base. Then I want to kind of build out, okay, like let's look at the map of the United States. Let's look at the map of the world. Like where do women have the right to vote at this time? Then maybe I look at some individuals, right? I might look at Inez herself. And then strategies, like what are the strategies of like the suffragist movement? What would you replicate? What would you not? Like that kind of thing. And so then I'm like, okay, so what if instead I actually want to do a map first, right? Then I could just kind of put it up here and then swap it out with my timeline. So I would do that, right? And then I would hopefully be able to take off a piece of paper. Okay, so then I would say, okay, great. I start with the maps and we're just going to maybe do a notice and wonder now. And then we're going to go into the timeline and then we're going to, whatever. So you get the concept, right? Of like, and then you could color code also. So I love the 3 phases of hook, build the base, and case studies. So you could also use these to color code for this. I did not do that in this example, but perhaps maps and timeline would be kind of your, maybe maps. Ooh, maps could be, okay, fun little unit plan detour. Maps could be a map today, right? I always like to connect today. Maps could be a map of today and then look at maps then. So like voting rights today, and we could look at different aspects of that. And then we could look at voting rights historically in the time. And then we jump into the timeline. So build the base might be like these. And then case studies, maybe the case studies would be like the strategies. And so looking at different strategies. And so case studies of like, here's how they use the strategy. Anyways, I'm going to show you a couple digital options on the screen, and then I'll pop back in to the video. Here we go. Planning on Google Slides. This is great if you have some different like multimedia you want to pull in, or you're just more of a visual planner. You could also do this on Google Sheets, which is kind of like Excel, so you can kind of move the bars up and down. I don't like that though if you have kind of like a 1, 2, 3 listed, because your header is going to list it as row 1, and then it's like, oh, but day 2 is really day 1. Yeah, so that gets messy for me. Here you can label, this is day 1, here's the content protocol source I'm going to use, and then you can kind of like mix and match them, right? So you don't even actually have to, you can just use the days. Yep, what am I saying here? Use the numbers of the days, right? So you don't have to label the day here. You just say it's part of Unit A. Maybe that's just, here we go, Unit A. We don't even have to label this. So the plan, right? And then you would kind of do that throughout. So it's nice because you don't actually have to do all of the labeling, right? You just say content protocol source. I know it's Unit A because it's in a file titled that, and I know 1, 2, 3. Okay, another example that I'm going to share here. So this is actually vacation week for me, so I'm going to have nothing in here, so I'll just kind of play some things out. So let's say that in my to-do list, I have like call people, right? So I have to call people here. I am going to create a PD plan here, right? And so let's say that creating a PD plan on Tuesday, right? I'm on Tuesday. That takes so long, way longer than I thought, that now I can't call these people that I need to call. I can, when building like this, just move it over as if it were a Post-it note. So if it's a Post-it note, obviously it's in person or in physical paper, but I can just kind of move it over here, right? And then make it as long or short as I want. So I always plan my tasks like this, either on Post-its or like, as you can see, it's all very color coded, or here. and then I can move and adjust the times very easily, and I can just bounce something to the next day if it doesn't get done. And that way, my task list just can't get too long, right? Because it has to like still fit in the time. And if I don't have any time, it goes to the next week, or I ask myself the question of like, does it really need to happen? Totally revolutionary, but maybe a game changer, right? Like, so this is kind of an obvious thing for a Post-it note lover. I just think like these concepts of like, we can move it, create movable structures where we're not having to like, I cannot tell you how many times I've sat in meetings or departments or unit planning sessions where we spend half of the time just relabeling and it saves so much time. And it's also just, I think, a great kind of like fun kinesthetic or like visually color coded, whatever thing to be able to just manage this stuff really easily. So I hope it saves you time. I hope it saves your teachers time. And who knows, maybe students will love it too, and they could use it as well.